Hi, I'm Kubi, and welcome to Kubi Does It. So today we're going to talk about winterizing your lawnmower. This can be your riding mower. A lot of what I'm going to talk about will cover riding mowers, but it will also cover push mowers as well, and I'll tell you the differences as we go along. But with that said, let's get started. So one of the most important things you need to do when you are winterizing your mower is ensuring that your fuel stays good through the winter. Fuel degrades over time. And it also absorbs moisture, especially ethanol fuel, which almost all fuel nowadays has at least a portion of ethanol in it. It just absorbs that moisture like a sponge, and it will gather moisture into your fuel if you're not careful. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are fuel stabilizers. So I have two here. One is pretty popular. It's called Stabil fuel stabilizer. It's been around for a long time, and a lot of people use it. It's pretty widely available. You can get it at Walmart, auto parts stores. And then the other brand is Ethanol Shield. Both stabilize the fuel and will keep your fuel fresh over the winter. So when you get started in the spring, your mower will start and the fuel will work as it should. The difference between the two is it really is the Stabil, it doesn't really mix with the fuel completely. It develops more of a layer on top of the fuel. So if the fuel gets moved around, whatever, it can absorb moisture. It does not guarantee that moisture won't develop in the fuel. And I have checked my fuel. I take a eyedropper and pull some fuel out and check it every spring to see if it has moisture in it. And I have had, with the Stabil, I have had moisture in my fuel before, which is why I changed to the Ethanol Shield. So the Ethanol Shield, it mixes fully with the fuel and will bond with the fuel molecules. No scientist, but it mixes well, and it does prevent the moisture from building up, because I have tested it and I have never had moisture buildup in my fuel. So either one will work for you, but I prefer the Ethanol Shield. Like I said, you can buy this at most stores. This I buy on Amazon. I actually have 2 bottles of this. This is a brand new one that's never been opened, but it's worth it. It's not that much more expensive, if even more expensive, but it's well worth using. And just so you know, I'm not monetized. I get nothing for advertising. I just like the product, and I've purchased it for myself. The next thing that's really important to do is to get all of the fuel out of the fuel system other than the fuel tank. You want to make sure that your carburetor, your fuel lines, and the engine itself doesn't have any fuel left in it, because as time goes by, that can cause shellacking in the carburetor and in the fuel lines, and it can diminish performance of your mower, and we don't want that. So this is a $5 item on Amazon, and it is simply a lawnmower fuel shutoff switch. If you search lawnmower fuel shutoff switch, you will find these. I think I've got a box of 5 of these that I got, and I'm going to end up using them. I got a new mower this year, and I got a new generator this year. I'm going to use it on my generator and my mower. But the way this works is you cut the fuel line past there's a fuel line comes from the gas tank to a fuel filter, and then the line will go into the carburetor. You cut it past that fuel line, between the fuel line and the fuel filter and the carburetor. Put a couple of hose clamps on, one on each side, small ones. Put it in between those lines, tighten up those. When it is in this position, aligned with the nipples, it allows the fuel to flow. When you turn it to this position, it turns it off, and the fuel cuts off. So what you do is, after you install this, start your mower, let it run with the fuel system on, with it turned on, and then once you've let the fresh fuel, especially the fuel stabilizer, get into the system, which really is just going to be your fuel filter, then you turn this off. And what it will do is it will burn off the remaining fuel that's in your carburetor and in the lines, and it will clear your carburetor and lines of fuel so they won't get shellacking. That will ensure that your fuel will be good and you won't have any issues with your carburetors or fuel injection. Some riding mowers nowadays have fuel injection. Not many, but some do. But either way, it's gonna benefit you. It won't clog up those injectors. The next thing I'm going to recommend that you do is to clean your mower. I personally clean my mower after every use, including underneath the deck. But at least clean it in the fall before you put it away for the winter. I put mine up on a couple of ramps and get up underneath it with the water hose, clean it really good. If you've got a pressure washer, that's even better. And that's for your push mower as well. So clean your mower, clean the deck, get all that grass out of there. That'll keep the moisture from building up in the grass. The grass does contain moisture, even though it feels bone dry, and it will cause your deck to corrode. It is probably the #1 cause of mower decks corroding, and it's not cheap to replace a deck. So it's worth doing, giving it a shot. So the last thing that I'm going to recommend is, and this is more towards your riding mower, you're going to have a battery for electric start, and that battery needs to stay charged up so that it is charged and ready to go in the spring. Over time, the power will diminish from it, and depending on how good your battery is, how old it is, and how well it's been maintained, it could lose all of its charge and not start when you go to start it up in the spring. You might be able to charge it up in the spring, you might not. It just depends on how far it gets discharged. But this is a battery tender. This is a battery tender brand unit. This is actually the one I use on my motorcycle, which is right over here. But this may not be the best example, but this can be used on a lawnmower, riding lawnmower. It might be a little overkill, but it's not going to hurt it any, and it'll work just fine. And what this has is a cable. In this case, mine has a connector for my motorcycle because it connects directly into the motorcycle. But there's also a connector that goes to this that has 2 clamps on it that you put the red on the hot or the positive cable, black on the negative cable, and plug this in, and it will keep your battery charged all winter long, very gently, so it doesn't cause damage to the battery. And then in the spring, when you go to start it, you'll have a good battery and it'll be ready to go. Harbor Freight does sell a version of this, a little lighter weight version that will work well. I'm not a Harbor Freight fanboy, but I do have a lot of Harbor Freight tools. They have some good specialty tools that you can't seem to get anywhere else. And their prices are really good. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Harbor Freight battery maintainer. I have a couple of them myself. I don't know where they are at the moment, but I have them. And I would not hesitate to use one. I do have one on my generator. I have a generator with electric start, and I do keep a maintainer on that. And it is one of the Harbor Freight units. So one last bit of potential guidance is there are a few things you're probably thinking, well, what about the oil change and what about the fuel filter? So there are 2 different schools of thought on that. Some people say do it in the fall. Some people say do it in the spring. I'm a do it in the spring person. I can't say that it's based on any facts or research or scientific evidence. I just prefer to change mine in the spring. I don't like my oil sitting in my mower all winter long where it can, I don't know, degrade. I don't know if that really happens, but I don't want to take a chance with it. So I do mine in the spring. I will do a video on it in the spring when that time comes. But if you want to change your oil and your fuel filter now, go right ahead. I really don't think it's going to matter either way as long as you change your oil and your fuel filter. And it might make sense if you're going to put one of these fuel cutoff valves on to go ahead and put a new fuel filter on at the same time while you have that line cut, and you're going to have some fuel drippage anyway. So you do these things and your mower will not only start in the spring, but it's going to last a lot longer as well. Good maintenance on anything is the best predictor of future lifespan and performance. So if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. And with that said, I'm Kubi. This was Kubi Does It. If you liked the information I provided, please hit the subscribe button and come back and visit again. And hopefully I'll have more videos that will be of interest. This is one of the first videos I've ever done, so I'm still learning. I hope I'm getting better. But I'm going to continue with these, and if you have something that something around the house, your car, one of your mower or your pressure washer or one of your devices that you'd like to understand how to do a maintenance or repair on, let me know, and if I can, I'll do it and post it as a video to help you out. But again, never give up. None of this stuff is that hard.